I'm going to do my best not to call her out of her name unless it is important to the story because it's what I said out of respect for the dead. I guess I should start at the beginning. I was at work one day and I got this message from somebody I don't know, and they're telling me that their husband is doing my wife. Of course, I'm startled, confused, wondering what the fuck is going on. So I asked questions, and she's telling me pretty much she went through her husband's phone, found my wife's phone number in his phone, and all the messages attached to it. And what she did was she confronted my wife via Instagram. Now, what happened after that, I kind of paced together based on the conversation her and I had. Well, this woman confronted my wife, and my wife said that, yes, your husband's cheating on you with other women, but I ain't one of them. So I guess she took that message back to her husband, and her husband said, oh no, it's her, and here's all the information on her. So he gave that information to her, and when she said, all right, I see how you are, I see how you're doing, I'm gonna let your husband know what kind of person you are. And she tried to tell her that her and I were separated in an open marriage. Didn't make any sense. When she went back to talk to her husband about it, her husband said she never mentioned anything about her husband. She said she had a boyfriend. So they seen how she was lying. So that's why I got the inbox messages. While I was getting these inbox messages, I was texting my wife, asking her what's going on. Of course, she tried to come up with some lie. She was saying that she knew the guy and supposedly him and her were trying to set me and his wife up to have sex because they weren't happy in their relationships. So I was like, that makes no fucking sense. And when she said that, well, since you don't believe me, we need to be separated. And I was like, oh, hell no, no. No, I don't believe you. I want a divorce. And I told the bitch I hate her and I hope she gets hit by a truck. I did text her, don't come home. My exact wording with her was, take what money you got, put it in a truck, go to Carolina, because that's where her family's at. She never has a problem driving 4 hours to go see them on any given day. Go with them. Don't come home. And that was that. I'm going home because I'm pissed. Like, I need to get rid of this anger. And the only way I know how to get rid of anger is with my imagination, my firearm, and a piece of paper at the range. So I'm going home. I get home and I was texting her while I was driving, telling her like what she's told me to let me know that, you're lying, you're caught. I'm done with this marriage. So I get home, I get my gun, I get my holster, and I have an inside holster, but I wore it on the outside because my CCW had expired. And I know I can be angry, I can be a black man, and I can be an angry black man. But I know I can't be an angry black man carrying a firearm illegally if I don't have my CCWs. So I was doing open carry. I had everything ready to go. I was sitting at the foot of the bed, calming down a little bit, and she comes home. Why? According to that day in court, she said she came home to try to calm me down. And someone even said, well, if you felt like he was dangerous and all this other stuff, why'd you go home? So she comes in the door, she's walking in the bedroom, and I'm still at the foot of the bed. She walks in the bedroom and immediately cuts to what would be her right towards the closet and where the bedpost is. And she's more on the side of where the bed is at. So while she's sitting there, just trying to say excuses of why she did what she did, I want to put my gun up because I know I'm going to cuss this individual out. So what I was doing was trying to pull the holster, the entire holster off of me so I could put it up in the closet. It kept getting snug on my pants. So she sat there and said, Quentin, don't do this. This isn't worth taking life over. But if you feel like you got to do this, go ahead and shoot. I was like, nah. Step back, took the little button release on the gun, whatever, so the mag come out, pressed that, slid the mag out, let that drop. Then I unholstered the gun, kept it aimed down, pulled the slide back so the one in the head would come out, and then I tossed the gun on the bed next to her and just said 2 words. Talk, bitch. She went on to rattle off all these cliche, just excuses that I know was said just to piss me the fuck off, telling me that she was upset with me. Don't remember what she was upset about. She didn't find me attractive. She was drunk. She was high. She accidentally had sex with this man in the backseat of his wife's car at the Walmart up the street from our house. So I just start pacing away from her. And she just like, do you want to hit me? I'm like, so bad. But I know I can't hit her. So that anger I had, there was stuff on the wall that I had put up there for her with her Golden Girl stuff. Yeah, all that shit came down. I knocked all that shit down. Any pictures of us on the wall, I knocked them shits down, said this marriage is a fucking lie. First question I really had in my mouth, is my son mine? Is my youngest son mine? She said, yes, he's yours. And I let her know, I'm like, you've been doing all this shit for all this time, and you the reason why I lost 2 years of my family. And she's gonna say, oh, I knew you would blame me for that. I'm like, you tried to fight my sister at my mother's house on my mother's birthday over some bullshit. Yes, it was your fucking fault. So, I'm sitting there, like I said, I'm away from her, and she kept saying, don't do this to the kids, don't do this to the kids. Like, I ain't doing shit to the kids. Everything I did was for the kids in this family. I go to work, to a job I wasn't happy with, for the kids, to maintain this house, to maintain this lifestyle for the kids. So I'm not the one doing shit to the kids. I'm not the one ruining and destroying the family. You are. So I asked her, I was like, I want to know what the fuck else you've been doing. I said, where's your phone? She said, it's in the living room. I said, all right, let's go get it. She walks in front of me. I walk behind her. And then she just stops, turns around and says, I want to leave. Cool. I don't have a problem with that because originally I told you not to come the fuck home. So I was like, that's fine. You can go, but give me my truck. You're not leaving in my fucking truck. And she said, fine. I said, where are the keys at? She said, they're on the couch. So while she's going to the couch to get the truck key off the key ring, she's also getting her phone. So she handed her phone, handed the keys, and I'm going through her phone. I'm like, yo, where are the messages and all the other shit at? And she said, all right, deleted it. I said, I bet. So I threw the phone on the kitchen floor. We're in the kitchen at this time. So I threw the phone on the floor, tried to step on that bitch and stomp it, crack it, so she ain't got no phone. Picked the phone up, and shit is not damaged, not a scratch, not a crack, nothing. So I take it, and I go in the bathroom that's on the boys' side of the house. And I open the toilet, I put it in the toilet. It was one of them like Galaxy XLs, so it was too big on the low flow toilet, so ain't shit happened. So I took the lid off the commode and put the shit in the commode where it was completely submerged in water. She tried to go in and get it. I held it in there, and I'm like, all right, yeah, this shit's done for. Pulled that bitch out, found out that shit was waterproof. So it was still undamaged. So I just took it, put it in my back pocket. I walked out. She's in the living room sitting down. I walk past her in the living room, in the kitchen, in the dining room. I'm pacing in the dining room. We had like this bonsai tree I bought her like the other day, and I seen that shit, knock that shit off the damn mantle and say, ain't no peace in this house. The dog we had started barking, so I went to the dog. I picked the dog up, took the dog over to her, and said, here, take your dog. She's like, but you love this dog. I'm like, I do love the dog, but this is your dog, so here's your dog, take your dog, and you can go. So I walk away from her. I go back down the hallway away from her, just sitting there trying to just calm myself down. And then I hear the front door close. I'm like, what the fuck? So I walk back out. I don't see her out like on the porch or whatever. I go in the bedroom. I don't see her there. So since she wasn't there, I went ahead and put my gun up in the closet. Then I go back out and I see her outside. And she's like on that grass part that divides our property from the neighbor's property. She's just standing there. So I walk outside like, yo, what the fuck you doing? She said, I'm waiting on the police. What the fuck you call the police for? She said, I want to leave. I'm like, you just making a bad situation worse. If you want to leave, bitch, leave. But don't fucking call the police and make shit worse. So at that point, I just walked away from her, walked in the house, took her phone. I just slung that shit somewhere. And I just sat down like, guess I'll wait for the police. Waiting for the police to get there. Police come, the male officer walks in first, and he's like, you know why I'm here? I'm like, yeah, pretty much, and he's like, yeah, your wife's telling us that you got an argument. I said, yeah, I found that trifling ass bitch cheated on me. And he's like, yeah, well, all she really wants is her phone. I was like, I don't know where that shit is. I threw it, like, I was upset. I threw that shit. It's somewhere in here. He's like, well, all she really wants is her phone so she can go. I'm like, well, it's somewhere in here. He's like, you think you can look for it? I said, I'm not doing shit else that's going to benefit that bitch. I'm not doing it. I said, you're more than welcome to search my whole house for it. I don't care. I'm just not going to help that bitch at all anymore. So she comes back in with the female officer, and they're like, "Man, when's the last time you seen your phone?" She's like, "It was in his pocket." I stood up, put my hands in the air, spun around like, "You can search me." He searched me. He seen I ain't have it on me. I like, "You want to check the couch where I'm sitting at, like wherever?" And he's like, "Nah, you're good. You're good." And I was like, and there's like, "Well, she just wants her phone." I'm like I said, you can search for it. I'm just not gonna help her. And she's like, "Quentin, I just want my phone so I can go." And I said, "Bitch, I'm not doing shit else for you to benefit off me. You want to find your phone? Find the fucking phone. I'm not helping you." So then she was like, "Well, he won't give me the truck key. He won't give me the car key so I can leave." I said, "You don't need my vehicles to fucking leave. If you out there spreading your legs to other men, spread your feet on the pavement and walk, bitch. You not getting my vehicles." So she tried to tell the female officer, "Ma'am, can you tell him to give me the truck key?" And she looked so nervous. She looked at me and I looked at her and said, "Ma'am, I'm going to tell you the same thing I said to her, but with manners. No, I will not be giving her the keys to my vehicle." So that went on for a little bit, and then she's like, "No, she ain't have nobody to call because she ain't got her phone." So they agreed to call like a Uber or somebody to come get her, whatever. And she went to the room to get her stuff. And of all the shit you think that she would want to get to leave, you know what she went and got? Her Tupperware weed. That shit blew my fucking mind that she went and got her Tupperware weed while she left out with the cops. And before they left out, they said, "Yeah, Mr. Lacey, also, she said that you pulled your gun out on her." I was like, "That's what the fuck you said to them?" And she said, "Well, that's what happened." I said, "No, the fuck it wasn't. I didn't pull out a gun on you." I said, "If I pulled a gun out on you, then I guess this scratch in my hand came from you too." And I had a big scratch in my hand, which is in the police report, from when I was knocking shit off the wall and a nail caught my hand. And he's like, "Sir, did she do that?" I said, "No, that came from me knocking shit off the wall. But if she's going to sit here and say some bullshit that I pulled a gun out on her, then I can say that's what it is. You know, she going to tell a lie, I'm going to tell a lie." And he was like, and then she was like, "Well, I'm not pressing charges." And he's like, "Yes, sir, you know, you're not getting arrested today." I said, "I don't care if it's today, tomorrow, whenever. I shouldn't get arrested because I didn't do the shit." And she's like, "Don't worry, it's no big deal. Ain't nothing going to happen." I said, "Yes, something's going to fucking happen." And all of them, her and his wife, was like, "Sir, there's nothing to worry about. Calm down." I said, "You just told two officers of the law that I pulled a gun out on you. That's going to affect my job." I said, "Now you're fucking with my money. I didn't do that shit, and they have to put that in the fucking report. And that's going to get back to my job. You're putting my job at risk." So they're like, "Well, look, you ain't getting arrested, so you just need to calm down." I looked at her and said, "Bitch, I fucking hate you. I hate you." And I meant that shit with every ounce of my body. So eventually, they left. I don't know where the fuck she went. Didn't care. I sat there and I just, tried to calm myself down until I had to go pick up the kids.